On what I want you to do to Nick's photos. I thought it might be easier to just show you rather than try and, write it all out in text. So here is one of his photos. The mother, unfortunately, is one of those kind of people that's just very particular and specific about what she wants to his photos. And there's a lot of photos, so I thought rather than you doing them and then having to redo them, I would just show you what to do and what she wants done. So she has, I think, four main things. She wants his skin edited, all the acne out, which is, primarily on his cheeks and his chin, and then right between his eyebrows. But he has natural freckles, which can look like acne spots. But she wants the freckles kept in. So I'll show you where those are. One of them, there's three main freckles. One is on his forehead right there. One is on his neck right there. And on his neck right there. So those three spots stay. And then all the red spots from acne need to be edited out. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is all of his photos have darker circles under his eyes. He must not sleep a lot or something because he just has dark circles under his eyes. And she specifically asked me to remove that. And I never remove it entirely because it looks horrible, especially on men. So I just always soften it. And I read or watched on YouTube a new technique that I thought was really cool for doing that, and I thought that I would share that with you. And if you like it as a technique, you can use that, or you can do something, whatever you think is better. But I kind of liked it, so I'll show you that. And then the other thing that his photos need is his eyelashes and eye area right here sharpened and darkened a little. So I'm going to show you that. And then the whites of his eyes in some of the photos need to be brightened just a little bit. Then the last thing that needs to be done is she asked me to edit the wrinkles in his sweater. And I'm going to be honest, I've tried to do it and I can't figure out a good way to do it without losing the sweater texture. So specifically exactly what she said to me, because she knows a lot about photo editing. It's part of her job in the publishing industry. Even though she doesn't edit herself, but she knows a lot about it. She specifically asked me to see if I could remove the wrinkles in his sweater without removing the sweater texture. And I think the primary wrinkles are right here where that shadow is, and maybe along here. But I think this would almost need to be left in, the shadow that extends down this way. But I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know how I would edit this. And I've tried using the clone tool. I've tried using the healing brush tool, which I don't really know how to use. You do. And then I watched a couple of YouTube videos on it. And there was all sorts of different suggestions for doing it. And I thought I would just let you see what you think. And we could test a couple. But the goal is to leave the sweater texture in, but to have it not look like it's like wrinkled, like right here and here, like it's just been in a wad or something on his bedroom floor, rather than folded and neat. I mean, it does look kind of rumply, and she didn't like that. She's picky. So that's what we're going to work on editing. So I'm going to do it really fast, just show you really fast. So here's his face. And again, what stays is this freckle will stay, freckle here will stay, and a freckle here will stay. And then you can just edit the skin the way that you edit it, which is gorgeous. So just do your magic on that. Then sharpen around the eyes. And how I do that is I use my action set that is called Florabella Retouch brushes, which is in mine, right here, Florabella Workflow and Retouch brushes. This is that huge action set. And then I scroll down to Retouch brushes section, and the first thing I usually do is whiten the eye whites. And one way I do that is to play the action with the play button, and then either start at 100% opacity and then dial down, and I just whiten. But that will always, in every case, make it too white. And I think that one of the worst things that people do when they're new to photo editing or when they're a new photographer is they whiten the eyes way too much and they look photoshopped. So what I usually do is brighten up a little bit more than I think they need. And then I go to that, I click in the, make sure it's selected in my layers palette, whiten eyes selected, and then I use my opacity tool and I dial it all the way down to 0, which you can do by placing over the word opacity and then moving it back and forth. Or you can click on this and move this back and forth. You probably already know that. But anyway, I usually click on it. There is at 0 opacity, and then I just slowly move it up until I think it looks natural and just a little brighter, like that. So you can't even tell that's photoshopped. So it'll be different in each photo. So I just brighten the eyes just a little bit, not too much. If you brighten them too much and you give me all the files, and after all the work you've done, I have no way of changing it. I can't make them not as bright. So I would rather them be not bright enough than too bright. So I've brightened the eyes, and then I'm going to sharpen his lashes, which I do by going to this one, Eyes Quick Sharpen Lashes, and I play that, and my brush is still little and I'm right there, so I haven't wasted any time. And then I just move over his eye area, and sometimes just the nostril area and the lips. And then I dial down, all the way down, same thing, to 0 opacity, and then I just move it up until it looks a little better. This case it's just 16%, but it sharpened his eyes quite a lot. You can also use that sharpening tool dialed way down to maybe 25%. Oops. You can, sharpen anything else you want a little more sharp. Maybe his whole eye area, maybe his ears, maybe. It just kind of acts as an edge sharpener on an image that's just a little too soft. So as you can see, that still looks really natural and not like it's been photoshopped, but it does look a little bit better. So now I'll teach you one of the things that I learned about softening the under eye area, brightening it up a little bit. So the YouTube video I watched suggested that you use the clone stamp tool, which is this clone stamp tool, and that you go to the mode of that, and which default setting is on normal, but you go to the mode and change it to lighten instead, and then put the opacity at about 50%. They suggested 80%, which I think is too much. So maybe 50%, 55%, somewhere in there. And then you reduce your brush size so it's just going to cover the area there. And then you can click Option or Alt. I don't know what it is on a PC, but you click Option or Alt, sample an area that's lighter. Oops, I needed to do something first. You flatten the image first. Click your Clone Stamp tool, the Lighten tool. Get your brush size correct. Make sure the brush hardness is at 0%. Hardness 0. And then you click on a lighter area and then just lighten that. And I think that just looks really natural still and just a little bit better. And doesn't create kind of a smear effect like just the clone tool by itself. I think that lighten mode is sort of genius. So it lightens and brightens, but he still has a shadow, a little bit of a shadow, which is natural. If you take that all out, it looks really alien eyes. It looks really bad. So anyway, that is what I want you to do to Nyx, is edit his skin, brighten his eyes just a tiny little bit, sharpen them if they need sharpening, edit his skin like you normally do, leaving in the freckles, the 3 freckles. And that's what you'll do to Nick, except for with his sweater. And then I'm just going to have you experiment and figure out what you can do to remove those wrinkles and keep this sweater texture. Then my next grouping of photos is from a girl named Kay. And she is wearing an undergarment with this gown that pinches in right here and here. And she asked me to remove that. And I'm not sure, I didn't practice this before making the video. I'm not sure how to do that. I mean, I may go to Liquify. I know that you did this on that one woman's neck. And use the tool and just try to pull it in a little bit. Or this out a little bit. Smooth it out that way. But I know sometimes it grabs the arm and you don't want to do that because you don't want to make this arm bigger. She did not ask me to make her look thinner. She just wanted me to remove that area where her undergarment was bulky. So I think I sent you about 7 images with that. And then I'll correct them I'll almost correct them other than that. So I'm going to have you correct the dress and then any areas on her skin. And then you can't see it on this area, on this photo, but right here on her chest is a scar, a large red scar, because she had cancer and she had a tube inserted in her for a year and it left that scar. It's very sad, but she would like that scar removed. You can barely see it in this photo. Let me show you. It's right there. So you can remove that scar. I think the same thing that we did before, that clone tool. And on the lighten mode may work for that. Maybe. Or maybe it just needs to be on normal mode. But anyway, it's taken out. And then she also has very dark circles under her eyes in the photos. So we will remove those. And then you can do whatever editing you want to her skin. She looks like she also has freckles. Boy, I'm sending you a lot of people with freckles. That right there, I think, is a freckle. And that is a freckle, which means it would stay. And I think that these are acne spots. So, boy, that's going to always be hard for you. It's hard for me. to discern what's a freckle and what's not a freckle. So I'll leave it up to you, whatever you think looks good. She didn't specifically ask me to keep her freckles there. So that's my suggestion. I don't know if you want to soften this a little bit. If it were me, I would want it softened. Just, her skin in here, where kind of the rolls in her upper arm fat create shadow. Maybe soften that. So that's it. Those are my instructions on that. Thanks for doing all this for me. I love it. You do great work.